So now I'd like to take some time to talk about our values as an organization. And maybe we can kind of go around and just talk about which one sticks out to you most and why. So anyone can start this. You can just jump in.
I'll go first.
Okay.
A lot of people probably don't know, but before I had this job, I was a teacher. I taught for 4-5 years, somewhere around there. And I've taught from third grade to fifth grade, general ed classroom, autism specific classroom, and I've done some RBT work as well. And the value that sticks out to me is to presume competence. And what that means is just to presume that any task that anybody is given, that they have the ability to complete the task and to complete it, to their best ability and to get it done. And we don't just think about that in terms of our team. We also think about that in terms of our partners that we work with, in terms of the students at the centers and schools that we work with. And I think it's just so important because a lot of times, especially doing international work, an organization will go to a different country and just assume that the people that they're there to help can't do it themselves. And that's why their team is there, because they can't do it. And that's completely different from the way that we view it. We know that they can do it. We just have different resources available to us, and we want to be able to share those resources. And it's really come in handy in 2020 because it was such a shift this year and such a different year. And we just, presumed competence of everybody on our team. And we were like, oh, this is something you've never done before. Great. We know that you can do it. We know that you're competent. We're going to give you a task just to take it on and run with it. And in the end, everybody's, shown up and done great work. And it's just great to be part of an organization that has that value, because so many don't have that focus.
I see that also, Mandy, with the people that we advocate for, too. The people with autism who are told so many times that they can't do something or that they're not good enough. And I think it's such an important message to model, to presume competence in people, too.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've had self-advocates travel with us on SkillCorps trips. And since I've worked closely with SkillCorps, that's kind of the realm that I have been in for a while. And it's true, going out on an international trip alone with a group of strangers for 2 weeks. These self-advocates have come and done the trip and done amazing work. And, like you said, growing up at different times in their life, I'm sure they've been told, oh, you can't do that. You would never be able to do that. And that's just where that presuming competence comes in. We know, we know that people can do it.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'll
Thanks,
go next.
Mandy. Okay.
My value kind of goes hand in hand with Mandy's, which now that I think about it, I think all of our values probably lock together. That's how that works. But my favorite value is embrace failure. I think everybody probably knows that about me too, that is just my absolute favorite. Failure within our team is not something to shy away from. And it's something that I think is very true to our team and true to our year in 2020, that we really, jumped at that it's not about, the value is embrace failure. It's not welcome failure. It's not be okay with failure. It's not learn from failure. It is look for it, embrace it, love it, hold it, cherish it. That's what we mean when we talk about embrace failure. And I think that's something that's true to Mandy's point too about presumed competence. Is like there's no such word as no for us. There's no possibility that something can't happen, can't be done, can't be changed, can't be transformed. We just take every single opportunity to learn and grow and embrace failure. Failure is not an ugly word to our team. So that's something that really speaks to me.
Yeah. Mandy and Cassie both took two of my favorites, although I don't have a favorite value. But the one that really stands out this year, I think, is foster innovation. While we're innovating on a smaller level for the past several years, this year required like a brand new level of innovation, a brand new level of creating solutions that made old problems obsolete and of doing things in a way that we never thought we would be doing them. Our Leadership Academy was always a live event. In fact, when we learned we couldn't travel internationally, we created Leadership Academy as a live event to take place in New York City. When we learned that no one was going to be traveling to New York City in late March, we brought the entire thing online. And I think that it also, just thinking through our values, also this is allowing us to make a sustainable impact in a bigger way. That's another one of them, in a bigger way than we had been able to in the past. So it's really exciting.
I think I'll go next. I just it goes hand in hand with what everyone's saying. Again, they all go hand in hand. But as I hear you guys talking, it just reminds me how even though like we have these things pop up that require us to change the way we do things or have us innovate new things or new programs, every step of the way, we're checking in as a team and we're celebrating those accomplishments. And that's one of our values. And I think that it's a value that's rooted from like the very core of the work that we do and throughout like our community. Like we celebrate individual accomplishments from the advocates that are involved in our community. We celebrate accomplishments in our personal lives as a team. We celebrate accomplishments as an organization and those that we do work with. So it's incredible to see that we take the time, especially in a year like 2020, that we take the time to celebrate those accomplishments, no matter how big or how small and on what level and for who in our organization. It's across the board. And I think that's really important because you can get lost in all of the work and all of we just need to keep moving and all this. And I think as a team, we've done a really great job that even throughout all of the things that have happened throughout this past year, we've checked in and we've celebrated accomplishments across the board. So I think I really love that value.
Yeah, that's amazing. I thank you, Liz. You just picked something that I want to talk about. Gee, but yes, I think this is interesting because so one of my favorite in all of our values is actually to stay curious, and I just want to tell you guys backward story a little bit because I joined this team fresh out of college. And that means that I was so ready to just like apply everything, like literally everything that I learned in schools. And I was like, I got this, like, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. But then like when I got into this work and especially with this team, I learned that there's always things that I don't know how to do. And then things that I don't know. Which is something that like I talk to so many people about this. Is like there's always things that you don't know. So this is why it just hit me that this is a growth mindset that I'm just so happy to have. Like I'm just so happy that everyone on my team has this growth mindset. That there are always room to grow. There's always room to learn more. Even though we've been doing this work for 17 years. Molly stood out as one of the star in my mind that just like, ooh, I actually don't know this. Let's find out. And I was like, this is impressive as not only a leader, but also, as a teammate, she herself is constantly innovating herself. And then this value just stick with everyone when everyone's just like facing certain challenges. And we were just like, ooh, this is something new and we want to learn. We want to grow. So I feel like it's definitely something that stays with me, and it just helped me to go through all the challenges with an open mindset. It just helped this whole team to go through this year, wanting to learn more and grow more, and to figure out what else can we do. So stay curious. What a cool team! I love this team.
We love you, Trang.
Thank you, guys.
For me, my favorite one is cultivate leadership. And I think it's kind of like overarching, like I feel like of all the values in a way. And in a year where I think it's like really obvious that leadership has been lacking in so many areas in our day-to-day lives, it's really refreshing to come to a place and to be a part of a team where leadership is cultivated and encouraged and embraced. And one of the things that I think is so key, and that's allowed us to innovate and allowed us to like keep communicating, is this idea that like we're all leaders, right? This is not a place where everybody's like assumed, like even like the assuming that you can do it, right? It's like, oh, everybody steps up and takes it on, and no matter what's asked. And I think that's one of the things that it's like this is a microcosm of what can be in the world, and we're living it, right? And it's great to be a part of it, and I think it's kind of like a little sanctuary out, like here versus outside of when you go out into like the quote unquote real world, to be surrounded by people who step up, who take responsibility, who own anything that they're working on, who like are responsible for all of their actions and for all of it. And when that comes together, like magic happens. And like I really do think that we're creating magic here. So yeah.
Yeah, great. As you guys were sharing, I kept thinking, oh, that's the one I was going to choose. That's the one I was going to choose. But then I love them all. So for the sake of saying the one that hasn't been spoken about yet, I want to talk about making a sustainable impact. And I think this can be applied in so many areas of our work. If we look at the training that we were providing and are still providing our partners, fostering those critical thinking skills so that when we leave, what they're left with is something sustainable. Also, you can look at this in the Skill Corps members and the training that we were providing them too. What we're offering them is something that they can then turn around and take back home with their clients, with their families. And if you also think about our own personal growth that we've gone through this year and as an organization, and just pushing ourselves to be able to make that impact within our community so that it's all sustainable, I think it's really powerful. And even just thinking about this podcast too, and how many stories we've been sharing and how many lives we've touched by people who are listening, and then just them going off and maybe sharing a little tidbit with someone that they communicate with, or maybe it's making them think about something in a different way. So we're just given a different perspective and staying open. So that also ties into staying curious and fostering innovation. So yeah, anything else you guys want to add about the values?
Well, I was just going to say that, we revisit these values, right? We don't just have our values and say, okay, that's our values. Everybody, here we are, and print it out it's like we revisit it all the time. And I'm seeing where some of our values, especially after this year around communication, I think that we've reached a new level of communication. Something about a pandemic will do that to you. There's no pretense. There's such realness in our lives right now that I just see and feel. And the other thing is, I was thinking I would propose a new value that is action creates clarity. And I think just, we had no idea what anything was going to look like. Frankly, after we canceled the February trips, we thought we'd be able to travel in July by canceling, and October for sure. By canceling the February trips, we had changed everything at this organization. So we just got into action, and we stayed in action. And what we know is overwhelm and action can't exist in the same space. And I think the clarity that has been accomplished by just being in action, being in conversation, staying in communication with people, learning about what's needed in the world right now has been really cool. So when we meet as a team in early 2021 and revisit these values, I'll be proposing that, see if it's a fit.
Yeah.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.